Hey folks, I don't know if this is whether or not to capitalize on its recent release or just because, I really do want to go on a rant, but it's probably because if I were to type this out in a review, it wouldn't really be a cogent argument or anything. It would just be blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, I want to say my opinion for why Avatar sucks. I was in line. I was waiting in line for the 12:15 showing about an hour early over at the Irvine Spectrum here in South Orange County, and I really was looking forward to it. I saw it in IMAX and in 3D. I was excited. I was really looking forward to Jim Cameron's first movie in 12 years since Titanic, 1997. So I wasn't expecting the greatest thing since sliced bread, but Jim Cameron's usually puts out quality, so I was expecting a fun romp in the jungles of Pandora. Can I say first the name Pandora? Really? Are we really going to go with that obvious metaphor? The planet, the box, I don't have to explain it. Really, I'll hit on a few points. First of all, did I really wait 12 years to basically see a remake of Fern Gully? At least Fern Gully had Tim Curry. Or a remake of Dances with Wolves or Last Samurai. I mean, really, this story essentially is white man comes into exotic culture, learns the ways, exotic culture learns that said white person wasn't was there for nefarious purposes, loses their trust, then white man has to gain their trust back and then saves the day. Really just rolling my eyes throughout the whole movie as we have to go through these scenes that we've seen a million times. And it's not even that they're similar or kind of the same thematically. It's like literally note for note these scenes are stolen from these other films. Not to say that these past films are any good either, because again, this film is basically reinforcing this ideology of white man comes into exotic culture and saves the day. And I don't know, we've just seen that a million times before, and frankly it's been done better. It just was so note for note, hitting all just the beat for beat, every beat. And again, I don't mind if it's done well. And the sad thing was, it was done well in this movie. I mean, Sam Worthington gives a really decent performance. He holds the movie. Zoe Saldana, again, very solid performance. Sigourney Weaver was a welcome back. Michelle Rodriguez, who I adore in her brief but pretty sweet role. But again, it's just plotting wise, it just hit those same notes over and over again. It was just like, I was like, come on, let's try something different here. This movie is beautiful. This movie is gorgeous. And if anything, see it for that, because it is an incredibly gorgeous film. But it was so frustrating how much the movie just stuck to these horrible cliche plot points that we've seen a million times before. And it was disheartening, to say the least. I guess that after 12 years of development of all these cool special effects, you couldn't watch a couple of movies and say, oh wait, okay, maybe I do get this whole ideology about this culture conquering another culture, and how this movie just essentially just offers nothing new to the table. There's nothing here that you haven't seen before, basically, which is really disappointing. And my second big point to make, making a transition here. So story aside, okay, let's just brush that. Okay, like who cares? Who cares about the story? It's just pretty film, cool action, blah blah blah. The world, Pandora, this wonderful world that we've been immersed in 3D. At least I did, and in IMAX. Which, if you're going to see the film, just see it in that. Just pay the extra buck, $16 here in Irvine. Just pay the extra money. I would not see this film in 2D. No IMAX. It would seem like a waste of time to me. But anyway, I saw it in 3D, fully immersed. And honestly, as a boy growing up in the world of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Aliens, I really expected a lot more imagination coming from Jim Cameron. So you have all these crazy creatures, but then really when it boils down to it, it's a rhinoceros with a hammerhead shark for a head. It's a horse that has a triangle shape with a couple extra tentacles. There's a wolf with some flaps. Some hounds that glow in the dark. The whole forest is just kind of day glow and a little bit brighter. Where's the imagination? I mean, these creatures aren't really any different. For all said purposes, they might as well just have made them horses and made them tigers and made them flying dragons, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, there really wasn't a lot of imagination and thought put into these creatures. I mean, there was a lot of thought put into the colors. I mean, what was really cool, the forest kind of glowed at night, sort of like Ferngully, or exactly like Ferngully. But I mean, I'm waiting for you internet fans out there to make a little fan video where you have Sam Worthington's character doing the Beat It video, because that's exactly what this was. Each step was like dun 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 dun. Anyway, I'm waiting for that video. And really, when it comes down to it, the Navi, we're Native Americans. Really, why the blue skin conceit? Why the big eyes and the kind of slitty nose? I mean, tall. I mean, they're essentially Native Americans, a sort of genericized man-boy suburban vision of what Native Americans are, with a little bit cooler aesthetics. But really, the philosophy, everything, is just sort of an amalgamation of Native American culture. And again, Jim Cameron, I'm a little disappointed that you couldn't have a little more imagination than to come up with what has been done a million times before. I mean, it wasn't so much as like just allegory, it was literally just, I don't know. It really just was very disappointing that the culture wasn't... I mean, it was essentially, you might as well have just made them Native Americans. Why the conceit? Why the planet Pandora? Why all that? You should have just made it about Native Americans and humans and the conquering the West and call it a day. And you would have had a more historical epic, and it would have been cool in its own right. But, I mean, who am I to decide? It was Jim Cameron's vision, again. One last note on that also, unobtainium. I mean, maybe that's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, but if it's the only tongue-in-cheek moment in a film that takes itself super-duper seriously, then of course we're going to take that seriously. So, unobtainium, I'm sorry, but the lamest element ever. Even lamer than Berkelinium or whatever, the Berkeley-inium. So, where does that leave us? So, I'm going to give it a pass in one sense because it is a very pretty movie. Special effects wise, I mean, what you are seeing is all fake, but I don't think you ever doubt it for a second, and that's, I guess, worth your $16 or whatever much you pay. But honestly, 12 years for Ferngully remake, I'd rather just watch Ferngully again. I mean, frankly, Ferngully had cool dance numbers. This movie didn't have any cool dance numbers. I gotta be a hater on this one, but I'm sorry, Avatar sucked.